Hello, kindergarten. Welcome to your spring semester art program. We are going to begin working on drawing trees today. You are going to need paper, lined paper or printing paper is fine, a pencil and eraser, and some coloring supplies. For the next few weeks, we're going to begin our study of how to draw trees. And these are the 4 trees that we will study in particular. There's the oak tree up here on the top left. This is a birch tree, then a willow tree, and a redwood. But today we're going to draw a made-up tree, a tree that's just going to be easy, and we're going to learn about how to make our trees look more like trees, instead of just 2 skinny lines and a bunch of scribbles up at the top or something. So these are some examples from my students last year and how they drew their trees. You take a look at them now because this is the kind of thing we're going to be learning how to draw. So you're going to need to make sure that your paper is tall, up and down, not sideways. You want to make sure yours is tall. That way you can get your whole tree all the way through it. So the first thing we're going to do is, in this bottom right corner, we're going to make a bumpy line. And then we're going to make another bumpy line on the left side. We can pretend that these are 2 bushes. We're going to add a line going across. And it doesn't go totally across. It's not above the line. It's not above them. It's touching them. But I didn't keep going because you can't see the line when it's back there behind them. This is called overlapping. You want to make sure that your bushes overlap your ground line. Then we're going to work on the tree trunk. We're going to start with a long, kind of skinny rectangle. But look, I drew that rectangle over the ground line. Like the bushes, you can't see that line behind it. So I'm going to erase the line that's inside. And then I'm going to come back and make it a little bit darker. And now my tree trunk is overlapping or in front of the ground line. Now it looks like the bush is in the front, the tree is going to be in the middle, and whatever is on this grass in the back, it's going to be the background. Now let's talk about adding some branches. On these 2 corners, we're going to make a line that goes up into the side. It can be called diagonally going to the side. Not straight up and down. That's not diagonal. That's a vertical line. So we're doing a diagonal line. This line is straight. This one I made a little curvy. You pick whichever way you want to do it. Then at the top of the line, I'm going to come back down and finish making my branch. Now, you can do 2 branches. You can add more if you would like. You can do a little branch. You can do a really big branch. But we got to do something about this part right here. Let's see. I want you to see, so I'm going to pull it up here. I'm going to erase some parts. And next, I'm going to make sure that these tree limbs don't see that weird line back behind it anymore. I had to erase one more. Because there is no tree out there that has a perfectly square top. Next, I'm going to make 2. That's going to look like the letter U. One is going to face that way. Another one is going to face that way. And guess what these are going to become? They are also going to be tree branches. So I'm going to make that one kind of long, and see how it gets skinnier at the end? And this guy is going to come out and be pretty long too. And again, you want to make sure it gets skinny at the end. I'll bet you know what I need to do about those two lines on the inside. I'm going to erase them. Now, I like the way this tree looks, but I got to finish something down here. No tree is perfectly straight at the bottom either. So we're going to do kind of what we did up here, but not as much. So I'm going to make a little triangle, kind of another little triangle at the bottom, and that gives it some tree roots. I'm going to erase that and that, those little squares that you see on the inside. Now, when I go back over and I make this line darker, I trace all the things that I had made, then you can see that I've created a tree form or shape, whichever one you want to call it, because we're going to make it look like a form by making it look more 3D. But you can also see that it's got depth. Depth means, is this in the front of the picture? No, these guys are in the front of the picture. Is it in the very back of the picture? No, this line is in the back of the picture. We're in the middle of the picture. We're in the middle ground. So let's make a tree top. All these leaves. So this is where we're going to add more of those bumpy lines. And we're going to say that our tree has got a lot of bumpy lines going up there. Now, you can add some other parts to it. If you'd like to add a bumpy line at the edge of one of your tree limbs, or you can add bumpy lines or make it look like there's other parts of the tree. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get rid of that pointy top, because I said now it's got that tree on top. It's got the leaves on top of it. I'll do the same up there. Ta-da, and up here. And now, that's the easy part. We're done drawing our tree. Now we're going to add things like color, and you can add details. Do you remember what we added as a texture for our tree in the other picture that we did last week? We added some little bumps to make it look more like leaves. You can do that down here. I'm going to add something. I'll show you right now. This is going to be, that's not going to be a tree part. That's going to be a hole. And I'm going to make it kind of look like you can see the sky. I'm going to do the same thing over here on that side. Because sometimes when you're looking up at trees, you can see the sky through them. So I'll add some more details or textures to that tree, or bush, excuse me. I can add some to this one if you want. You could make it a flowering bush, which means it has some flowers on it. You can add some little flowers in the background if you would like. So now we've added details, we've added textures, and I can add some grass on the bottom. What's some other stuff that we need to add to our picture? Color! I've added a color, and I've filled the entire paper. I do want you to pay attention to that, my friends. The sky goes all the way down to the grass. The sky does not stop at the top of our picture. That blue sky goes all the way down. And I have covered everything in a color. Now, we talked about in our art review a way that you can add value to your colors, to your picture. And we're going to do this by making some of our colors darker in places. So, near the tree limbs, I'm going to take I'm going to make my brown darker, and it's going to show the shadow that is underneath the tree limb. And you can do that up here, You can do it in the spots where you think there would be shadow. I think there might be some shadow underneath that, some shadow underneath that one, a shadow underneath that tree limb. Down here at the bottom of the tree, where some shadows will be. You figure out where you want your shadows to be for your tree. Then I'm going to make my greens darker in places. See how you almost can't tell anymore where the the bush is? So I'm going to take my dark green. I'm going to come back over. And I'm going to make it dark green. And I'm going to go over some of these little texture spots too to make them stand out. I could also do that on some of these grass parts. Make it look more like there's grass. And I'm going to do the same thing over here on this side. And now you can see where the tree and where the bushes, I keep wanting to call them branches and trees, where the bushes are. But I am going to do the same thing up here in this one too. So I can add, look, the sun's up here, right? So shadows are going to be at the bottom. And I'll make this part of the tree down here a little bit darker. And I can make some of those darker, and I can make some of the tree branch, some of those parts darker. I'm not making the whole thing dark. I'm just making some spots that might be underneath this. And you can copy mine, that's okay. You guys are learning about light and shadows and how to make things like value on your pictures or use value with your pictures. Once again, I'm making the kind of the bottom part of the tree leaves, the spot where the darker green is. And since I said that the tree has the sun is at the top of the tree, I'm not going to put a lot of the dark up there. I'm going to keep it like those. And now, because I've added value to my tree and my colors, you can tell parts of the trees apart, or bushes and plants apart. Now that you've seen the whole video, this is the written part of yours. So if you don't remember the steps and you need to take a look at it, you can pause it here and you can read through it, or you can watch the video again. That's up to you. You are going to be making a tree for me today. You can add extra details to it. You can add extra flowers. You can put apples. You can put a person in your picture if you really like to. And then don't forget to color it and turn it in on your Seesaw project. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can always email me here. And don't forget to check your Seesaw page art folder for your assignment.